Right, welcome to the local review body of the Tuesday 28th of April. Are there any apologies?
Apologies, Chair, from Council.
And the order of business?
Yeah.
Are there any declarations of interest? If there are any, you can mention it at the time, which takes on to item 5, or item 4 rather, minutes of the meeting of the 10th of March. Are there any comments? If there are no comments, we'll move on to 5A, decision notice on 3 Toscana Court, Dander Hall. This is just for noting. Item 5B, land at 28 Estbank Road, Bolingrigg, also for noting. Which now takes on to item 6. Notice of review requests considered for the first time. 15 St James Gardens, Penicuik.
Thank you, Chairman. The report relates to a review submitted regarding a condition attached to a grant of planning permission for the erection of a front porch at 15 St James Garden, Penicuik. The application was granted planning permission on the 20th of January 2015, subject to a condition requiring the porch roof tiles to be of a colour, size, profile and texture to match the main roof. The applicant has submitted a notice of review requesting planning permission is granted without the materials condition, thereby allowing the porch to be erected using any tile the applicant feels appropriate. The applicant wishes to use a grey roof tile rather than a red one to match the main roof. A copy of the decision notice and the officer's report is contained in today's papers, along with the applicant's review statement. The local review body carried out a site visit yesterday, the 27th of April 2015. The review is to proceed by way of written submissions in accordance with set procedures, and following the decision of the local review body, a decision notice will be issued through the chair and made available in the electronic case file.
You'll recall the visit yesterday. Is there anyone who would like to say anything? Derek?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Chair, I understand where the planning officer's coming from here. However, I also understand the normality for a condition such as this. But if I'm right in saying that the roof on that house doesn't look originally to the orange slate colour, that looks like it's been painted on. Could the planning officer confirm that the tiles were perhaps a different colour at one stage?
Yes, Chair, that's correct. If I don't know whether you recall, there was a number of properties in the street which had a more grey coloured roof tile, but there was other properties with sort of orange sort of roof tile. This property started off as a sort of darker grey colour, and it had a sort of water sealant painted on top of it, which made it that red colour.
Keeping that in mind and keeping thinking that indeed if you had built this porch before that paintwork was done and somebody then come along and painted the tiles, you would still have the two different types. I think I'm kind of minded to the fact that the porch is a very reasonably small extension. It's not an overly large extension. Had it been a larger extension, I think I'd have been minded wholeheartedly to support the planner. I can actually see, and I didn't think the planners were wrong to put such a condition in to try and match that. But I think perhaps on this occasion that I think I would move that we grant the appeal and allow them to go with a slightly different colour.
Bob?
I think yes, I would agree that it's correct to put these conditions on. However, I have difficulty in seeing what the colour of the roof was. In actual fact, we had to go down the road a wee bit to see. So I don't really think it makes much difference, and I'd be inclined to agree with Councillor Milligan.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, we'll go on against you then, Peter. Sorry. This takes us now on to 6B, Craig S. Coachworks at 6 Ashbank, Gorebridge.
Thank you, Chairman. This report relates to a review submitted regarding an application in principle for the erection of a dwelling house, alterations to building to create an artist studio, formation of access to the associated works at Craig S. Coachworks, 6 Ashbank, Gore Bridge. The application for the proposed dwelling house and artist studio was refused planning permission on the 15th of December 2014. The applicant has submitted a notice of review requesting planning permission in principle is granted. A copy of the decision notice and the officer's report is contained in today's papers, along with the applicant's review statement. The local review body carried out a site visit yesterday, the 27th of April 2015. Again, the review is to proceed by way of written submissions in accordance with set procedures. Following the decision of the local review body, a decision notice will be issued through the chair and made available on the electronic case file.
You will recall, again, yesterday we went to see this, and there's a lot of vehicles there which I understand will be removed when the house is built at the far end, and access will be built. So any comments?
I can understand the rationale behind the planner's decision. We can't have houses just built willy-nilly all over the countryside. However, this is not really open countryside. It's sort of a brownfield. It's right next to where a whole lot of development is taking place, in actual fact, in Gore Bridge. I know the fact that there's a lot of cars all over, which shouldn't influence the decision either. The fact it's untidy just now doesn't mean to say it gives anything. However, I'd be inclined to allow the appeal, given the site, particular position, its proximity to Gore Bridge. It's not in the wild open countryside. I'd be inclined to allow the appeal on these grounds.
Derek?
Yeah. Young Derek, no, I agree with Bob. I think we're looking at the siting of the house at the back of that site anyway, so it's going to be a good bit out of sight anyway, irrespective of cars being in the way or not. And I think in the sense of looking round about the area that it's situated in, it probably will help the area, to be honest.
Something else, Bob? Yep.
Yes, just to come back in. I think obviously we were given no details of what was planned for the house. That's still to come. I would obviously be looking at that it would not be a particularly high building, which would dominate the countryside and cause any interruption like that.
So what I think you're saying, Bob, is that
probably
minded to agree in principle, but we'd still want to see what was going to be built.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it's clearly enough away into the countryside. I think my main concern with this is, when you look round it, you see the dog business. You see next to it, I think it's a roofing business. Across the roof, it's a pigeon coops and that. The concern I have there is where they were right in sort of protections for whoever has the house, and again, whoever has the businesses, because being a long-term serving councillor, it's not the first time that folk have bought or have moved into a house and then came back and complained about their neighbours and expect the council to take action against them. And you sometimes find that indeed the law and the rules force the council to actually have to take that action. And I keep in mind, on occasions, people buying houses right next to a pub and then complaining about the pub and the noise coming from it. And that bit concerns me, and I'm just wondering if there's any advice or anything we could write into this planning consent to make sure that we didn't end up in a situation where whoever builds and occupies a house then threatening the livelihoods of the people next to them by objecting to their peace being disturbed.
That's a difficult one, because Councillor Megan was right insofar as that once a house is built, once it becomes occupied, they do have certain rights to make inquiries or concerns about the neighbouring uses which are currently in existence. For example, you've got the dog business. However, that business operates from 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock. So at the moment, there's no dogs overnight, as it were, because it's a dog day business. It may impact if that use wanted to extend and do overnight kennelling, but that's maybe something to think about. I suppose in this situation, you're getting a house being proposed within a site which is going to retain the car garage component at the front. So you tend to think anyone who's actually buying that house or going to move into that house is actually really mindful that that business is existing. So you could potentially tie the two together, as it were. So it makes it a bit more difficult for someone to complain about neighbouring uses when on their own site there's a sort of garage business operating. So that's maybe a consideration. But yeah, the bottom line is people will have the opportunity to make comments or complaints about neighbouring land uses once they move into it. I suppose the council, either through planning or environmental legislation, will just have to take on board the fact that the businesses came first before the house, but that doesn't take away their rights, as Councillor Milligan says.
Well, I think we're minded to allow it to go ahead, or at least let us have a look at the proposal when it comes in. Would that be the view of the committee?
Chairman, just to clarify the procedures, because it's an application in principle, if the review body are minded to grant permission in principle, that effectively is in principle for the House. The details do then follow, but that doesn't change the fact that the local review body grants that permission in principle for the House. So even if you don't like the style of the house, then at best you can look to change the style rather than the actual underlying principle of it. So just bear that in mind.
Is that clear, Tim? Everyone? Okay then, that'd be 2-0 then, Peter.
Just to confirm, because I know the applicant's on the other side, just to confirm that's the grant plan permission in principle for the erection of the dwelling house and the artist studio.